Imagine waking up in a world where one man could control the emotions, decisions, and even the belief systems of millions. Without Instagram, without news channels, without even stepping outside the palace walls. Sounds impossible, right? Yet Machiavelli documented exactly how kings pulled this off. And what's shocking is that many of these strategies are still used today in ways that would feel almost illegal if people actually knew how they worked. Here's the craziest part. The average person thinks fear works the way horror movies show it. Jump scares, threats, punishment. But Machiavelli exposed a far deeper psychological mechanism, one that controlled entire kingdoms without a single sword being raised. And in a minute, I'll show you the exact fear tactic he believed was more effective than brute force, and how leaders still use it today without anyone noticing. But first, let's rewind. Most people imagine medieval power as violence, battles, armies, torture chambers. But according to Machiavelli's The Prince, the real power was psychological. He wrote that fear wasn't about making people terrified. It was about making them predictable. When people fear uncertainty, they cling to whoever offers stability, even if that stability is manipulated. Kings use this to maintain absolute control during famines, wars, plagues, and political chaos, while keeping their hands clean. Here's where it gets unsettling. This wasn't an accident. It was a crafted strategy. Kings created controlled fear, never too much, never too little, like adjusting the flame on a candle. When fear was too high, people rebelled. Too low, people became bold. So rulers hit the sweet spot, a level of fear that made the population obedient but not explosive. That level guaranteed loyalty. Now here's the part Machiavelli hid in metaphor because writing it openly could have gotten him executed. Real power didn't come from fear itself. It came from fear of loss. Humans hate losing what they already have: land, food, position, stability, more than they desire new gains. This is why a single rumor about losing safety could control thousands more effectively than threats or punishment. To explain this, let's jump to a story he never explicitly wrote, but clearly hinted at. There was a king whose kingdom was crumbling: crop failure, drought, rising anger. Instead of using force, he made a public announcement promising protection, food, and safety. But with a clever twist. The kingdom is safe, what he said, but only if the people stand united. If not, enemies are waiting. He didn't point to real enemies. He didn't name anyone. He created an invisible threat. Suddenly, the people stopped blaming the king and started fearing the unknown. They stopped questioning authority and began clinging to him as the protector. This is what psychological control looks like. Invisible fear is always more powerful than visible danger. And here's where things get even more shocking. This same tactic still works today. Companies, governments, influencers, media, they all use versions of controlled uncertainty to make you click, buy, vote, stay quiet, or stay loyal. Fear of missing out, fear of being wrong, fear of losing opportunity, status, connection, stability. It's all the same blueprint, just updated. Now let's return to Machiavelli's ultimate question. Should a leader be loved or feared? He actually said both. But if he had to choose, fear was more reliable. Not terror, not violence. Predictability. Humans are chaotic when emotion leads them. Fear freezes that chaos. It makes behavior stable, consistent, manageable. But here's the twist he never wrote plainly. Fear doesn't control millions on its own. It controls them when the leader appears just strong enough to rely on, yet just distant enough to avoid being challenged. Kings didn't walk the streets. They stayed behind walls, in shadows, in symbols. Their distance made them mysterious. Mystery made them powerful. That's why Machiavelli warned rulers, avoid becoming too familiar. The moment people see you as one of them, their fear dissolves. The moment they feel you are beyond them, their behavior aligns automatically. Now think about this in your own life. Bosses, leaders, celebrities, influencers, even certain friends. The ones who hold the most influence over you aren't the loudest. They're the ones who control uncertainty. The ones who say less, reveal less, and maintain that psychological distance that makes you lean in instead of look away. The kings who controlled millions weren't the strongest. They were the most emotionally intelligent. They understood humans better than the humans understood themselves. So now the question becomes, are you the one reacting to someone else's fear strategy? Or are you the one people look at with the same mix of respect and mystery? Because whether you realize it or not, Machiavelli's psychology is still shaping your decisions today. Before you scroll away, answer this honestly. Do you think leaders today use fear more subtly or more aggressively than Machiavelli predicted? Your answer might surprise you. And if you're the kind of person who wants to understand the psychological strategies they never want the public to understand, hit subscribe, because the next video exposes a tactic even more disturbing than this one.